the specific buildings that are UC owned and operated where there are students that are residing. In this area, so the statistics I'm going to talk about here just for a moment are in that black area that surrounds the campus. So within that black line that you just saw, we've seen a significant reduction in the amount, this is property crime. Property part 1 crime, we're talking about theft from auto theft. So someone breaks into your car or someone steals your car, right, theft from auto. And burglary, someone breaks into your home. And so we track all of the crime that's happening in this area and whether or not it's student related, those types of things. And what you see here is significant reductions over time. And in fact, back here in 2007 and 2008, this is when we had the highest levels of crime, not just property crime, but I'm going to show you violent crime here in a moment. And that was when that MOU was first signed. It was then Chief Tom Stryker signing an agreement with then Chief Ferrara to come together and make sure that we were operating as partners between the Cincinnati Police and the University of Cincinnati Police to provide the best services. And we did see significant reductions over time. This is violent crime. Now, the violent crime, this includes murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. Now, robbery is typically what's driving these numbers in the areas around campus. And robbery is when someone comes to you and tries to take your personal property by threat of force or by force. And so for the university and the university students, what we're really talking about is these kids walk around with so much on their persons. They have cell phones and iPads and all kinds of electronic equipment that back when I was in college, I always say this, if I had $10 in my pocket, I thought I was rich. I was like, oh my gosh, I got 10 bucks. You know, I could maybe eat today. But these kids have all of this extra electronic equipment and things which make them lucrative targets, easy targets. Yes?
Does that include the sale of illegal substances to these kids?
No, this is just violent crime. So homicide, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault.
How do you categorize the sale of drugs?
So drug sales are considered a part 2 crime. These are part 1 crimes, so these are the most serious crimes.
So you'll get to part 2 crime.
I don't have it in this presentation, but the thing about drug sales and things like that, those numbers are really driven by police activity and less about actual activity. So if the police are enforcing particular laws, you'd see a spike. It might not be an increase in activity, it might be an increase in police activity. So when we're really looking at kind of measures of what's happening around the university, we stick to these most serious property and violent crimes.
Can you tell us what the data is on drug? I'm thinking of Mr. Tenson. He wasn't worried about somebody's license plate. Can you tell us what the data are on drug sales? Interdiction of drug sales?
I can tell you that the number of arrests for drugs increased significantly during particular time periods by the UCPD. We can talk about that.
Thank you.
I do not have well, I don't have the exact arrests on that slide, but I can get that for you. So what's important to note here, though, is this spike. 284 violent crime incidents. This is not just victims, right? In a single incident, so one robbery, you could have 3 or 4 people that were robbed, right? This is just that one robbery. So when we talk about victims, specifically violent, and in this case, robbery victims, we were averaging in 2008 a robbery victim, 4 to 5 robbery victims every week. It was the numbers were astronomical. And it was a real concern and fear for these students that were residing in these neighborhoods. So we have been working very hard on a whole series of crime reduction efforts and actually have seen a 62% reduction in overall violent crime and an even greater reduction in the number of robberies around campus. Yet still, even though we're at 15-year lows in the crime around campus, we still have the perception that it's an unsafe environment. So that's one of the things that we're working on now is the perception of crime and the fear of crime, which is just as important as actual crime that's reported. This is just a graphic to show you what's happening on campus. This is part 1 crimes on campus. Part 1 crimes, again, majority of them on campus are theft, and that's what you see in black. The red is all other part 1 crimes, and the part 1 crimes, again, are those property and violent crimes, the ones that I just mentioned. So you can see we're holding steady here on campus in terms of our crime and reported crime, and again, we're at significant lows across time. But most people are interested in traffic enforcement and what's happening there, given the situation and the killing of Samuel DeBose, and so people want to talk and understand about traffic enforcement up around the university. So this is the number of off-campus traffic stops by month that were occurring from January 2012 through now January 2017. So we have this 5-year look by month of the number of traffic stops. And of course, what you can see here is generally we were in the anywhere from 25 to 50, maybe 75 off-campus stops. And that was pretty consistent across 2012, 2013, and 2014 you start to see a jump. And after that jump, it accelerates very, very quickly in the number of traffic stops. Those dates correspond with two things at the University of Cincinnati Police Department. One, a near doubling of the size of the police agency. So they quickly hired incoming officers, so they had a lot more officers that were engaged in proactive activity. And number two, we have a different police chief. So a new chief came in, new directive and policy and procedures of what was happening with these patrols. And you see that significant uptick.
Excuse me, when was the DeBose incident?
So July 19th of 2015 is when Samuel DeBose was killed. And so this goes through July. So here's July's numbers. And it was shortly thereafter that there was an initial halt on all UCPD traffic stops off campus. And so that's why you see these numbers literally drop. There's a couple little bumps right here, and we're going to talk about those in just a moment. But you see a complete or near complete end of that practice.
As a directive from City Council.
Right, and that's this next slide. So the ordinance that was passed required that UCPD not engage in traffic enforcement off campus. And we have complied with that order, with the exception of 16 vehicles. 16 vehicles between the time period of August 5th, 2015, when that was passed, and current to today. 16 vehicles have been stopped. Those 16 vehicles represented an imminent risk of public safety, of harm. There was an imminent risk of harm requiring that vehicle be stopped, including traveling the wrong way on a one-way road, nearly hitting pedestrians, erratic driving, pedestrian that was actually struck. This one red light violation, this was a red light violation in front of a UCPD officer, and the person who ran the red light pulled themselves over. And so we stopped, called Cincinnati Police Department, and Cincinnati Police Department came to handle that traffic stop. So in essence, that practice of using traffic stops as a crime-fighting tool has been eliminated at the University of Cincinnati Police Department. What I'd like to show you now is what impact that had, because I had so many concerned parents say to me, if you stop this practice, crime is going to go up and our students won't be safe. And actually what we found, and I showed you before, is those downward trends of crime continue to go on down. Right? So we do not need to engage in this level of proactive use of traffic stops to reduce crime. It's simply not needed by the UC Police Department. And that's what this slide shows specifically. So here, this is a two-part story. So I'll show you the part one first. This represents the number of individuals who have been arrested by the University of Cincinnati Police Department or cited. Now this can be on or off campus, right? So this is all activity of the UC Police Department. And I looked at 6-month time frame of 2015. So January 1st through the end of, I guess 7-month time frame, through the end of July 2015, prior to the DeBose shooting. And I looked at the same time frame from last year, after the DeBose shooting, so January 1 through the end of July 31. And what we see here is the number of individuals who were arrested by the UC Police Department was reduced 69%. The number of citations that were issued reduced 95%. We also see that the racial disparities in these numbers decreased. So the percent of those who were arrested used to be 61%. During this time period, it was 51%. So we see a lessening of the use of that tool, and lower number of, or percentage of racial disparities in the use of these tools.
Excuse
So,
me,
yes.
do you have a count on students or university?
Of which of these
Related
arrests are
people?
students
Yeah.
versus non-students? We do, I don't have it for this slide. And it's mixed, right? It depends on the particular offense and those kinds of things, but most of the arrests are actually of non-UC students. Most of the citations are of UC students. So citations can include a whole host of things on campus, including drugs and other issues. So, but I can get those very specific numbers for you. We
No,
track
just
everything.
interesting, yeah.
And so then also, the second part of this important story is the reduction in crime. So you see here, at the same time that this was happening, we see a 14% reduction in violent crime and a 29% reduction in property crime. So clearly there are other problem-solving strategies that we can use at the police department that do not involve the use of traffic stops and traffic enforcement to continue to reduce crime and make our students safe.
So this is really the goal. You know, you have a less abrasive policing strategy being deployed, one that doesn't stop, well, a 69% reduction in the number of stops, but at the same time, increasing safety. You know, the crime is going down. And so kind of as we, you know, the thing that's really interesting to me is the philosophy, the strategies that the police department or police chiefs use to achieve safety. The former chief decided that he wanted to use traffic stops. And you know, kind of looking at the evolution of policing, that's kind of an old school strategy. That's what police usually do. You have crime in an area, what do? You flood the area with cops, you stop everybody, and hope that you get some of the guys that are perpetrating the crime. In the course of that, you know, grandma gets stopped, aunt so-and-so gets stopped, I get stopped, which is very abrasive against the community. What we've seen, what we learned with SERVE, since the initiative to reduce violence, is being very narrowly focused, using some different strategies that doesn't yet necessarily use these stops as its primary approach, but being a little bit smarter, being a little bit more strategic in terms of how you deploy your resources, how you utilize those resources, and then achieve greater reductions in crime, but at the same time improving police-community relations.
And I wouldn't want you to leave here thinking traffic stops are bad. Traffic stops actually can reduce crime. But if you're going to employ the use of traffic stops to reduce crime, you have to do it very, very specific and narrowly focused. For this street, for this time period, make sure you have the proper supervision and oversight, make sure you're tracking any type of racial disparities that might result. There are ways to use particular tools and make sure that they're being used appropriately. But for UCPD, we've just decided that's not a tool we need to use. So if the Cincinnati Police Department said, we're going to use traffic stops on this street, you know we have a robbery problem, and it's from this time period to this time period, and it's typically on Friday and Saturday nights. So we're going to engage in a very strategic plan to reduce those robberies. That might include traffic stops. But again, it's not this broad, wide net that was happening with UCPD, and that's really where the problem was.
You know, and supervision is really key also,
Right.
and that was one of the things that we saw needed bolstering with UCPD. There's a number of supervisors, so that was one of the first things that we did was to implement or increase the number of first-line supervisors, sergeants, those individuals that are actually watching patrol officers, observing, monitoring their action, directing their action. So that was one, I think that was like day -1
Yes.
that we actually put those in place.
Right.